Hello race fans, Peter Mackay here, welcoming you to the Autodromo Nazionale Monza for the second round of the Sim Rigs Live Championship. My name's Peter Mackay, and joining me in the commentary box today is my esteemed Italian colleague Alessandro Dalladoni, and in production we have Marco Barbanera in Rome, bringing you all these wonderful images and graphics. Now, Alessandro, Monza is rich in heritage, quite an old-fashioned circuit, and we've got a variety of different types of sports cars to enjoy today. How are you feeling heading into this one?
I'm really excited, Peter. I'm happy to be back in the booth here on Apex Racing TV, and doing on a home track obviously is special. Monza is definitely going to be a challenge for these drivers because you have 3 different categories racing today. So traffic is gonna play a big part in our race, and the faster class, the P2, will have to manage their way through slower cars like the GTEs and GT3. So definitely drivers will be very aggressive, but at the same time they will have to use their heads.
Absolutely, yeah. It's quite a unique layout here at Monza, and of course for those of you who will be watching the Le Mans 24 hours over the weekend, this is actually a circuit where a lot of the teams come to before Le Mans to test the car because it's the closest thing they can get to the setup required for Le Mans, and a number of the cars you'll see here today are those used at the Le Mans 24 hours. So let's run through our classes then. We have our LMP2 cars, the brand new Dallara P217, or brand new to iRacing anyway, one of which is racing at Le Mans this weekend. So that is the class in yellow on your timing screen on the left-hand side. Then we have the GTE cars, the cream of the crop of GT racing cars. They are in blue, so you'll see the Ferrari and the Corvette, the brand new Corvette, which I'm so excited to talk about because, well, I just love Corvettes. And then the pink numbers, those are for GT3 cars. So we have the rumbling front-engine V8 Mercedes GT3. Listen to this thing, a big German brute. And then we have the beautiful Ferrari 488 GT3, mid-engine, twin-turbo, and a wonderful car to drive. So there's plenty of variety tonight, and our drivers will have just 2 laps here to set a time in qualifying. And Alessandro, here at Monza, I don't know about you, I always find the track limits very hard to keep within here, especially during qualifying, and I suspect that's going to play a factor.
Yeah, indeed. In qualifying, they are going to be a very important factor. Less in the race, as in this we don't have a incident limit, so in the race we will see plenty of drivers exploiting the track limit, but in qualifying you have to keep the car within the white lines, and it's gonna be tough. For sure we're gonna see 1 or 2 drivers getting both their times cancelled.
So that's one thing. The iRacing stewards, they are even more strict than your strictest teacher at school when they know where you've been and where you are, and if you just step over the track limit line, as you say, your qualifying time will be disallowed. So at the top of the timesheets right now, the number 22, William Chadwick, winner of the 12 Hours of Snetterton charity sim race. William is a very impressive driver, very consistent, and interesting to see how he gets on in this new Dallara P2 car, because it's a really tricky car to drive. When I used to drive the HBD P2 car, the open top P2 car, which has just been retired on iRacing, it was a very friendly car, but this car is a little bit more fierce. Alessandro, how have you found your first laps in the car?
It's definitely a very complicated car, both to set and to drive. Thankfully, we also have plenty of options setup-wise, like the Apex Racing Academy, giving you straight out to the box very good and competitive setups. Nevertheless, you have to manage all the pitch this car has every time you hit a curve. And if you hit it slightly a bit too much, you might find yourself in the gravel or straight in the barriers, especially at Ascari. I feel like this car is very difficult to drive.
I completely agree with you. Yes, I found the same thing. It's 2 things it doesn't like is poor motor oil and curbs. It really does not like the curbs, you're right. And whoa, as we see, getting locked up on the brakes. But one thing I did like about it, it has the most wonderful braking feel as well. You get a really good feeling on the solid feeling on the pedal. So that's our drivers done their 50 minutes of practice, and they'll now watch our drivers go out for just 2 flying laps. And here at Monza, quite a short lap, so they have to just get out there, get the tyres up to temperature as quick as they can, and get those laps in. But the drivers will have the whole of the Monza circuit to themselves, so no need to worry about traffic. Just get out there and set the fastest lap time you can. And in these Dallara P2 cars, with the aerodynamics that they have, and of course having to run them, it's a bit of a compromise, isn't it, Alessandro? Because this is a bit of a drag strip of a circuit, but when you do need the aerodynamics, they're not there, because of course you have the car trimmed out, and that makes it even more difficult coming over these curves and these changes of direction.
Yeah, this track seems to be, from the layout, very easy, because you have only just a few corners. But in reality, I find this track one of the most challenging tracks on the circuit, because for sure you need to have a car which is very, very fast on the straight line. But at the same time, you have to find compromises for the 2 Lesmo corners and this corner here, Ascari, because it's very important to exit as faster as possible. So for sure these drivers will have a tough time, especially because this is a fixed setup. So everybody has the same setup, and some drivers might actually like it more than the others. It's gonna be very, very interesting.
Oh, I completely agree. That is one thing I do like fixed setup racing, because it really is truly an even playing field. There's no special settings, anything like that. Now we ride on board. This makes me so happy. I have to say, I thought this was some sort of cruel joke that somebody was playing on me when I saw this announcement. I thought, yeah, very funny. No, it can't possibly be true, but it was. The Corvette C8R has come to iRacing, and I have to say, I don't think I've driven any other car as much as I have in the last week or so. It's just a wonderful machine, this. The first ever mid-engine Corvette racing car, at least in the modern era, with Pratt and Miller, and this car has been incredibly successful already, winning a number of races and actually scoring Corvette's 100th victory in IMSA. And quite a different car, obviously mid-engine rather than having the engine in the front, and a very different sounding car. But performance-wise, this car is just a dream.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100% with you, Peter. I was definitely very excited to have the Corvette in our GT roster on iRacing. But unfortunately, I must say that P2 took plenty of my time this week, so I have still properly to learn to drive the car. But I'm very, very happy to have a solo Corvette for this event. Other cars are mostly Ferrari. It seems to be the popular choice both in GTE and GT3. So I'm really, really happy to have a Corvette. And also we have a BMW with Warren North, the only and solo BMW in the field today.
And this car, this could be a wise choice, because we know that BMW is a real dragster. Not the most... as you can see, it's quite a cumbersome car. It's quite a big car. Aerodynamically, it's a big car, but it's got a lot of power. 560 horsepower, whereas the other cars have to do with quite a lot less horsepower with the balance of performance. Now, the GT3 cars, they fascinate me, Alessandro, because obviously the balance of performance to make a Ferrari and a Mercedes and a Lexus and whatever else you have in the GT3 category, to make them all on a similar level of performance, a lot of them have to be sped up and a lot of them have to be slowed down, and the Ferrari is one that has to be probably slowed down the most, because the street car, the standard Ferrari 488 street car, 660 horsepower, the GT3 racing car, only 490. It's incredible.
Yeah, definitely something I actually didn't know. So a very nice fact. But yeah, GT racing is always very interesting. because of this balance of performance, but at the same time can be also a problem because you might see always the same manufacturer winning over again. But as always, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You have to take and give. Sometimes, obviously, some cars are faster on a track, some cars are faster in others. So, as per usual in real world and also virtual world, when we have a BOP, it's always a big discussion.
Well, it always gives us something to talk about as commentators. That's for that's for sure. So we're about halfway through our qualifying session right now. At the moment, Ward sits on the pole position in P2 and overall by just 79 thousandths of a second from William Chadwick. As we've got one of the Mercedes off there as well. That's the 56 machine. Let's see if we can get a look at that for you. Very interesting paint scheme here for this car. You see, just yes, just gets a little bit of curb there at the second Lesmo, and that's all you need to get fired into the barrier, even in a car like that with traction control.
Yeah, definitely. The curves are your biggest enemy around this track. You need to avoid them as much as possible, especially in the fast corners. In the chicane, you can cut the corner quite a lot, especially in the first one. In the second one, you have to be careful not to hit the right curve because you might do some traction exiting. So definitely a very interesting track because you need to be very good in placing your car in the chicanes, but at the same time you need to be very good carrying a lot of speed out of the corners for the straights. So it's very, very interesting, and we will see nice battles for sure. Oh, another car.
Oh, we've got one of the Delaras off. He's got stuck. Oh dear. That's it's a very fancy, very sophisticated race car, but yeah, you can always get stuck in a muddy field, it seems. Of course, these are wonderful machines, these Delara P2 cars, made completely from carbon fiber, and of course, they're powered by these amazing V8 Gibson engines, which are used across the entire P2 class. But oh wow, it's a Delara Rallycross car! Wow.
As I was saying before, you don't need to hit that curve because you're rocketing.
Well, if you've ever wondered what the bottom of a Delara P2 car looks like, there you go, folks. We've shown you. that was absolutely breathtaking. Now, I think, is this our second BMW? I think it is. Yes, we have two BMWs. That's good news.
Yeah.
Now, this car is certainly before the iRacing update, which happened last week. This car was always very dominant at this track because of its straight line performance. But it'd be interesting to see, Alessandro, if that's carried over into this new season.
Yeah, definitely. From people, I got the understanding Ford might be the fastest car now in the GTE field, but I don't know. BMW seems like still one of my choices for these fast tracks with a lot of straights. Then we will see if in a week time there will be another change, but for the time being, BMW for this type of track might be my choice in the GT.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it will be. It's a real dragster. I remember watching. I went to the Rolex 24-hour at Daytona back in January, and this car was battling with the two factory Porsches all day throughout the whole 24 hours, and the Porsches were very, very good in the infield section, but once they got onto the high banking, this BMW M8 just opened up that twin turbo V8, and it was just gone, pulling so much time on the Porsche in the straight line. It's a big car. Obviously, it's based on a big kind of cruiser almost of a road car, and actually the engine is two 4-cylinder engines welded together to make a V8. It's quite an extraordinary engine, and actually the race car came out before the street car did.
Yeah, indeed, I remember. It was a big rush to get it homologated for both championship. I think it was both teams and WEC.
Mm-hmm.
It's been already a few years.
It has, yeah. Unfortunately, never won in the World Endurance Championship. They quickly pulled it out of there after a couple of years, but still runs in IMSA and actually won the last round of the championship at Road Atlanta. The 6-hour race at Road Atlanta recently. So, and they've got I think they've got a fantastic lineup of drivers. Like Augusto Farfus and John Edwards, Bruno Spengler, who of course had a lot of success in the sim racing during the lockdown as well. So that's our drivers finished their qualifying sessions. Let's get a look then at how they line up for this 45-minute race here at Monza. So in LMP2, David Ward on pole position by just 79 thousandths of a second from William Chadwick. That's going to be a great battle at the front. A full 6.5 tenths further back, Freddie Hewitt lines up third in the 517 Dallara. Henry Church will start fourth with Kevin Boland in fifth. Jess Martin will be sixth, Liam Atkins seventh, and Jonathan Collins will start from eighth. In the GTE field, it will be Scott McFall leading them off, a 1 second ahead in qualifying from Ian Petterson. Next up will be Bradley Hulse and Matt Tempest, followed by MJ Briggs, JB Hayward, Darren Sutcliffe, Paul Phelan, Nilton Carvalho, and Warren North. And finally, our GT3 runners, last but not least, Stephen Bird edges out Chris Simmons by 46 thousandths of a second. Theodore Kaporniotis, my apologies for the pronunciation there, it rolls off from third, with Magnus Johansson in fourth, followed by Dan Fisher, Martin Hobson, Kieran Fitzgerald, Stephen Barker, and David Bucke. And looks like we have our cars very eager, ready to go, and we're going to go on a pace lap, or very short quarter of a pace lap here at Monza.
Yeah, definitely the classes will need to split up pretty quick because we only have the backstretch and Parabolica, so hopefully they will get enough separation to not have any issue, because obviously being a very particular restart, it has already happened in official races that the GTE cars jump the start a bit and end up running into the faster class, so we don't want to see that.
No, that's true. In some cases, certainly through tighter, twisty sections, the GTE cars can be very, very impressive, and it actually takes the P2 car to get onto the straight to really stretch away. But yeah, they've got some good separation going here, so good discipline from all the drivers. 74 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature, so nice and cool track temperature really for this circuit. So that should give the drivers good grip throughout these 45-minute races. So we'll just wait for our iRacing pace car to pull away, and we're off already here at Monza for the Simrigs Championship Round 2. And it's Ward got a fantastic getaway in the 18 machine with William Chadwick in the 22 right behind, and immediately he's in the draft. Is he going to make a look up the inside at turn 1? It looks like he is. He locks the rear slightly. Oh, Ward's not going to let him have it, and he edges him out. Brilliant stuff from both drivers getting through there cleanly, and here come the GTEs.
Yeah, clean starts also in the GTEs. Everybody is sliding into their place, as we see also the GT3 cars now coming to turn 1. We also have a BMW.
Yep.
The two BMWs at the back of the GT3.
It's one of the United Autosports machines off. Sorry, 49 Boland. Kevin Boland is off, and those pink gloves not bringing him any luck at all. And the United Autosports Dallara. Oh dear. That's not good. He's got a lot of suspension damage there, it looks like.
Yeah, he needs to be careful because we have all the GT3 cars coming now, and this is a very treacherous place.
So it's important to note at this stage. Now this could be important for Kevin Boland. Oh, be careful. Be very careful. Yes, all of our drivers do have an iRacing fast repair, so they can come in. Oh, there's got another one off. Church off in the number 12 Dallara. All of our drivers have the access to an iRacing fast repair, which basically gives them an instant fix. They also have to take one mandatory pit stop at some point during the race. They have to take a pit stop. So if you need to take repairs, you might not need to come in again. So for Kevin Boland, it's not the best start, but it's not his race over just yet.
Yeah, definitely. If you play it smart, you might get a decent result still. While we see here William Chadwick trying to pass the 18 of the reward, but a great exit by the 18 side by side. I think Hewitt is thinking about a 3 wide, but there's no place to go, obviously.
Oh, and Ward goes up the inside of Chadwick. Chadwick just makes a little bit of an error there. Oh, bang! Oh, dearie me. That the 517 of Hewitt nudged out the way by Jess Martin, and we've got another one off there. Looks like he's on ice. The number 47 machine. I think he got stuck on this. Oh no! Got stuck on the sausage curb. Oh no! Oh, he's had to take a tow back to pit lane. Well, the P2 cars, well, they've had a pretty difficult start to the race. Like we said before the start of the broadcast, Alessandro, these are really difficult cars, and cold tires over the curbs, really not nice at all.
Yeah, definitely. Then, obviously, being all bunched up, drivers always try to get as many positions as possible, even though it's a 45 minutes race. Anything can happen, as we see Liam Atkins also losing the car and landing on the sausage curves. One of the worst idea in motorsport in the last few years. Hayward is trying to get out of the sun.
Yeah, he's obviously finding the Italian sunshine too much, and this is what a great battle at the front here. William Chadwick goes to the outside to try and get the inside for the switchback, but Ward has his measure and cuts across his nose, and fantastic racing at the front of the field here in LMP2. But at the moment we have 6 LMP2 cars running at the front. I tell you what, if you can keep a GTE car in the race, you never know, you might be on for an overall podium here at this rate.
You never know. The race is long. Obviously GTEs are almost 10 seconds per lap slower, but anything can happen, as F1 told us also last time around. So always try to do your race, and you never know what calamities might happen in the next 35 minutes, as Ward is still fending off William Chadwick for the lead overall.
William Chadwick looking he's a hard racer, as William Chadwick. Both him and a chap called Matt Kyle-Henney had a wonderful battle to the end in the 12 hours of Snetterton, trading fastest laps with one another, and William Chadwick really impressive. Believe it or not, he is not a relation of Jamie Chadwick, but by the way he drives, you would think he would be. But David Ward has kept him behind for now. But now they come on to the front straight, and David Ward will be able to get in the draft. There he is. William Chadwick's not got the best exit there out of the Parabolica. Sorry, he has. Sorry, my apologies. David Ward has not got the best exit out there, and William Chadwick, nearly on the grass. Wow, this is getting very spicy very quickly.
Yeah, definitely, that was a very risky move. And the 22 has also very good exit now in the draft. This car is very sensitive, and as long as you stay below the 1 second distance, you're always gonna get a draft. So you need to break away completely in this midsection. Otherwise, on the backstretch and the front stretch, the guy behind you will have a run into one or Parabolica.
This is a brilliant drive so far from Jess Martin. She is right on the back of the leaders now, and you just look at the body language of her car. Really driving very, very hard indeed. You can just see how it pitches into the turns, hard on the brake, and she is right in this race as well. It's William Chadwick going to the outside, heading into Ascari. This never fits too wide into here, and William Chadwick snaps his nose across Ward's nose there. Unbelievable stuff. Through they go then, up towards Parabolica.
Yeah, very, very good pass, as we have a Tempest off the track at the second chicane. Another curb, probably it not in the correct way, led our driver to have a nice trip in the gravel, as we can see now from the replay. Let's see if... yeah, he lost the rear slightly, and thank God he didn't get hit by his teammate.
Yeah, that was very close, and this is igniting back again. Ward and Chadwick into the opening chicane, and they go side by side. God, that was incredibly close, but Chadwick is through somehow. Looked like there wasn't a gap for him to get through, but there is. But look at Jess Martin now. Look at Jess Martin. She's in the draft of William Chadwick. They go three wide. Oh dear. Oh dear, dear, dear. And Jess Martin very cleverly backs off and just settles in there. And now, look, we're about to get into the GT. Oh yes, one of the BMWs off. But now we're going to get onto the back of the GT cars, and this, I'm sure, is going to settle up this LMP2 battle. When they get into the traffic, how you handle that traffic is vitally important.
Yeah, definitely, and that's why I think you need to be up front, because it takes only one single car in front of you to slow down. We have the 5 car also going very, very wide. Jonathan Collins started last in LMP2, but with all the calamities happening in front, he made his way through P4. So good start, as we have Jess Martin now passing David Ward. They don't need to lose too much time, because if that's so, Chadwick, I think, already break away.
Yeah, this is qualifying lap time for William Chadwick now. He's got his break, but can he escape then from David Ward and Jess Martin as they drag race down the front straight once more? Classic Monza racing here, down towards the first chicane we go. David Ward takes the position from Jess Martin then, and Chadwick, he's already into the GT traffic, so that could mean that these guys can catch up, but I feel that that gap is just going to yo-yo back and forward as they come through the traffic.
Yeah, they had a terrible turn 1 both, so Chadwick had 3/4 tenths there, and he's now quite in front, even though he made a tiny mistake on the chicane. I think he just lost everything. So Ward, if he gets a very good mid-sector, he might still have a chance to stay in the draft. But if Chadwick breaks away, then it's gonna take probably some lap cars to slow him down.
Absolutely, yeah, this is interesting stuff. The 25 of McFall leading in GTE by 5.5 seconds, but actually in the top 5 overall with the calamities of the LMP2 field. So you never know. McFall, he could maybe reach, there's an outside chance of a podium. In fact, now he's in 6th place right now overall, but very impressive indeed from him in the Ferrari. Flawless run so far. And here's your GT3 runners then. You'll see the GT3 runners, they have a little LED light in their windscreen, which gives them their position in class, which is very, very helpful indeed as well. So you'll see 0-1, which means he won in class. So at the moment it's Bird from Simmons from Caperneotis. So all still steady in GT3, which is very much a battle of the Ferraris. No sign of the Mercedes just yet. There it is at the background there. Just in 4th spot in class, I think. Sorry, 3rd spot in class. Hobson right now, yeah. So the Mercedes is actually running pretty strong.
Yeah, the Mercedes is a very good car, especially for beginners, because obviously this car has more balance than the Ferrari. The Ferrari tends to be very, very understeery, so it might be complicated also for amateur drivers, let's say. Whilst the Mercedes seems to be pretty neutral every track, so the Mercedes is my suggestion for anyone who needs to get into their GT3 dimensions. So even though obviously the Ferrari GT3 has also an official fixed series, so that's a good point on the Italian horse car, obviously.
Ooh. Oh, big battle here for 6th and 7th between Bucchi and Fitzgerald, both in Mercedes, and what a wonderful symphony of these brutal engines from Alterbach. Down they go then into the Parabolica, back a couple of gears into 3rd, putting a lot of steering input in here, and back on the power, opening up that big 6.2 litre V8 and trying to use as much of the draft down this long front straight, riding on board with Fitzgerald. He's trying to stay in the draft of Bucchi here, but not too much gain, not as much as the LMP2 cars anyways. They head down towards turn one, the first chicane's Buki moves across on the brakes. That's a little bit cheeky, and we don't like to see that. Over the curbs they go, but holding position so far. Back at the front in P2, well, it's David Ward still 1.5 seconds back from Chadwick, but interestingly, Jess Martin has dropped back slightly coming through the traffic.
Yeah, we can clearly see here how traffic is impacting the race of our P2 field. It's not very easy to go through the traffic because even though the P2s are very, very fast compared to the GT3 cars, for example, if you catch them in the wrong place, you have just to queue behind or hope for a huge dive. But it's still 25 minutes left, so I don't see the point of risking everything, considering that also the field is pretty much spread out now for our top class. A car off.
That's number 5 Rebellion of Collins gone straight into the barrier there. Very strange incident. Just seemed to go straight on. Maybe locked up on the brakes, possibly?
Yeah, maybe a bit of tires on the grass or too much rear brakes. He just went straight into the barriers on the outside. We catch now another angle of the accident. Collins having a very nice. He completely missed the braking point.
Oh, they have a lot of aerodynamic grip, but not that much. Well, it's that was just full marks for bravery there, certainly from Collins. So, right, here we are back to now. Interesting, William Chadwick, this aggressive young man. He has just carved through the traffic, and now 4 seconds ahead of Ward and Jess Martin, who now battle over second place right now. So we're riding on board with Jess in her Dallara P2. Coming through the Lesmos, from first Lesmo to second Lesmo here. Look at the speed there through, and just trying to get the car settled on those curbs. So difficult. It's such a twitchy beast, this Dallara P2.
Yeah, definitely, and especially just a tiny mistake could end your race, because if you get one of these yellow sausages, it's essentially race over, even though they have a fast repair, so essentially they could fix the damage quickly in the pits, but just a tiny hit and your floor is completely gone. So it's very, very complicated, and these drivers need to be very aggressive, but at the same time think about their equipment.
Absolutely, yeah. It's we're now already, goodness me, we're already at 1/3 distance, and remember, all of our drivers have to take one mandatory pit stop at some point in the race. Now look at this. This is not what you want to see with the P2 cars. That's really risky, very risky indeed. And oh well, that's not good news for David Ward. He just got a little bit impatient there, and Jess Martin, she got quite lucky there actually. That was quite a big hit into the GT car, but it doesn't look like she's taken an awful lot of damage. So let's get a look at that again. Jess Martin behind, David Ward in ahead, and these two GT. Yes. They both actually did not really a great much that David Ward could do there. He tried to avoid, and Jess Martin actually a little bit too hot into the chicane. But interesting incident there, Alessandro. How do you see it?
Yeah, definitely a very hectic situation, and obviously the 38 there missed completely the braking point, even though obviously P2 drivers try to brake as late as possible, and probably she didn't expect the two slower classes to be so slow. But let's say that she made her way through and collect, unfortunately, some other drivers.
They certainly got away with it, that's for sure, because as you say, far too late on the brakes there, missed the braking point, and just able to escape. But for William Chadwick, that's good news. I mean, William Chadwick, if he's got his spotter on board on the radio, would just say, "Calm down. You've got a big gap behind with the cars behind with damage. You don't need to take as many risks in traffic." And I suppose in a race like this, if you're in the faster class, Alessandro, getting that gap early is really helpful, because then you don't need to take the risks in the traffic.
Yeah, definitely. 100% true. And that's why you need to be aggressive, but at the same time, when you have a little gap, not to not be too aggressive, because it's so easy, as we just saw, to make a mistake. As here also we had Simmons right behind Bird, always colliding with each other. It's the dynamics of this track are pretty weird, so catching a slower class car might be very tricky in some situations, especially when they are battling for position. And P2 drivers, and we didn't have today, unfortunately, P1 class drivers. That would be definitely very interesting.
It would have. That would have been very, yeah, it certainly would have made it even more spicier than it's already been. Of course, as you say, quite an unusual layout here at Monza. It's a very old track, of course, built in 1922. It was signed off in the January. Construction began in the May, and it opened in August. That's how you get a job done. And it was built in reaction to Brooklands and Indianapolis, and especially after the first Italian Grand Prix. It actually wasn't an Italian car or driver that won, so the Royal Automobile Club Milano decided that they would build their own circuits to make sure that it was an Italian that won the second Italian Grand Prix, which of course they did.
Long times ago, Peter, because nowadays a track wouldn't be completely built from the ground up in 6 months. Probably will take 20 years, so a different Italy.
Yeah, almost as long as the last time that Ferrari won a world championship, right?
Hey, Peter, might be also longer.
But it's of course you mentioned success here at Monza. Of course, Italy's leading Formula One team AlphaTauri, of course, had a very good victory here a few weeks ago.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't expect to have an Italian victory this year, considering how well the Ferrari season is going. So give something to cheer for, you know. AlphaTauri is definitely a very interesting situation where you find a completely underdog winning a race. Definitely a very nice touch for this F1 season, even though it's a bit boring, you know, always seeing the same drivers up front. But the last few races has been very chaotic. I think that's for all season long what we will get.
Yeah, that's what we always hope for. Well, we can almost guarantee that we'll have an Italian winner tonight. Of course, all the P2 class, all Dallara machines, of course, made here in Italy. A British engine, a Yorkshire engine, believe it or not. Gibson engines made in the heart of Yorkshire in the United Kingdom, but of course the chassis built in Italy. Mr. Giampaolo Dallara, of course, an absolute legend in the motor racing industry, and he worked for everybody. He worked for Lamborghini, he worked for Ferrari, he worked for Maserati, he even worked for De Tomaso, and was one of the very small team that designed and built the Lamborghini Miura, and he has one in the Dallara Museum nowadays.
Yeah, a very successful man that gave us plenty of beautiful cars, and obviously we are so delighted to have this beautiful machine on racing. We were, I actually, when I went to Daytona 500 this year, before all the things that have come in 2020 happened, I asked Steve Myers, when are you giving me the P2? Because that's the car I'm wanting. He said, I keep it posted, but I never got the answer until 1 month ago when I saw this announcement.
Yeah, it was. I think there were a lot of iRacers very happy with the arrival of this wonderful machine. I think it's certainly of all the P2 cars, it's definitely the prettiest P2 car. You can tell it's the Italian one.
Yeah, it might be the prettiest, but in real life, it's also the slowest.
I wasn't going to mention that. I thought I'd let you mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, classic Italian style as Ferrari, you know. So it's a live motive in 2020, having good cars but very slow cars.
Well, of course, Dallara, the most, of course, built their first Indy car back in 1997, and more wins at the Indy 500 than any chassis manufacturer. But I suppose now you can guarantee, 100% guarantee, that it will be a Dallara that wins the Indy 500 nowadays, because of course they use a spec chassis for everyone as well. So at the moment, we've got William Chadwick 5.6 seconds ahead in P2, leading very, very strongly. That gap's actually gone up to 7.5 seconds. They're really charging through the field very, very quickly indeed. In the GTE category, we have the 28 of Hulset. In his Ferrari, a beautiful looking Ferrari there. And in GT3, it's Bird in the 24 Ferrari, but he is being hassled by his teammate Simmons. Really, really close here, coming down towards turn 1 in the first chicane, and looks like Simmons is going to have a little bit of a look. No, thinks better of it.
Yeah, definitely. Simmons is someone we will have to keep an eye on, because if they have to refuel, which I'm not 100% sure of, he will definitely have saved a lot of fuel compared to Bird. So this stop might be definitely much faster. So if your strategy and pit stop come into place, these two might find each other swapped after the stops. At the same time, it's very interesting to note that both Martin and Ward didn't pit yet, even though they had, I think, a nice collision, so the car should be a little bit damaged. And having a fast repair would essentially guarantee you we have meantime here the 4 car of Briggs taking the 66 of Opson a little bit wide in turn 1. Battle between GTE and GT3.
And we have our GTE leader in the pit lane right now, Hulsa in the 28 car coming into the pits, as we see the battle between the United Autosports Dallara, number 49 machine of Kevin Boland, and he's trying to battle with the 12 of Church here as they head down the front straight. Drag race again using that draft. Kevin Boland goes to the inside to defend, but that will put him on the not the optimum line for the second part of the chicane, but he's better on the brakes and defends his position well. So it'll be interesting to see. Like you say, Jess Martin did take a bit of damage in that incident a few laps ago, and for me, given you've got to take a mandatory pit stop, I would have come in at that point.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, because there's no point in staying out with a damaged car when you have a guaranteed free damage fixing. So essentially you have a new car out of the box. That's, in my opinion, something that maybe they didn't actually take into account. At the same time, all the drivers behind them, from you with on backwards, so 4th, 5th, 6th place, they all already been on pit road, so they already served the mandatory pit stop. As you can see from our graphic, thanks to our producer, Marco Barbanera.
We always, I don't know where we would be without Marco hitting all the buttons in Rome. I'm glad that I just have the job to talk about the racing cars. I've no idea all the black magic that Marco does in his little production booth, because you got all these wonderful graphics for you, like you say, how many stops the drivers have had, and also if you look in the top right, very important for multi-class racing, folks, you see our SDK Gaming track map, which tells you where everyone is on the track at any one time. And you can actually you can get this very same software that we use for the Apex Racing TV broadcast for your own iRacing as well, which gives you all live, up-to-date information while you're racing, which can be incredibly useful. For example, when deciding on pit strategy. Speaking of, we're now going to find out, Alessandro, who's got the measure here in the pit stops.
Yeah, definitely, it's gonna be interesting. Thank God they pit together, so they give us even more drama. And we also have the Mercedes and another car behind them joining pit road. It's the Ferrari in 4th place of Magnus Johansson. So let's see who is gonna come out of pit road first. They are sitting for quite a while. I thought actually, same time.
Oh, it's almost coordinated. They're almost like figure skaters, aren't they? They just they came into pit lane together and they're leaving together. But I think now this battle between Stephen Bird and Chris Simmons is really going to ignite now. We've only got 19 minutes left of the race, so it's going to be very, very close indeed as we see one of the P2 cars just getting past there safely. And that's the 47 car of Atkins, who's one lap down on the leader right now, but has been to pit lane. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting, Alessandro, when William Chadwick decides to make his pit stop, and you never know, that could just shuffle the order that little bit, try and get Jess Martin back involved in that battle.
Yeah, definitely. We have still 18 minutes left, so the race is not over. We learned in the last few years, both in real life and in the virtual world, that the races are over only when the checker flag is displayed. So Chadwick and Martin, Ward, they still have to fight and give everything they've got, because anything can happen.
Absolutely. You see one of the Ferraris there, one of these leading Ferraris, right on the rev limiter, of course, even though it's a turbocharged, twin turbocharged motor, it revs very, very quickly. And I always find when I drive this car, Alessandro, I'm forever buzzing the rev limiter. I'm glad I don't own one as a street car, because I think I would blow the gearbox up or blow the engine. I'd be in the limiter too much.
Yeah, definitely. And also feels like there is someone pushing the car out of the track because of the understeer you got. So it's a very interesting car, and it's also interesting to see if Bird now is gonna pull away from Simon, because they've been a tandem all race long, and Simon's never actually tried to attack. It reminds me of the Team Ineos, old Sky team in cycling at the Tour de France, going always in tandem and never attacking and only getting team orders. Hopefully they will give us a nice fight at the end.
Yeah, thankfully motor racing isn't like cycling, where yes, it's you don't have to all work around one guy, although of course sometimes it can be, but I'm sure these guys will have a bit of a battle. But it seems that Stephen Bird just has that little bit of an edge on the field right now. 18 laps complete then, and all as it was. William Chadwick 9 seconds ahead in P2, Hulse 11 seconds ahead in GTE, and Stephen Bird just a 6/10 of a second. So really GT3 is where that big battle is right now. The rest of the field just spread out that little bit, but mainly it's our top three P2 runners who have not come into pit lane yet. So we'll just need to wait and see when they decide to do that.
And we are also following here the BMW, the 44 of Nilton Carvalho. This driver started completely from the tail end of the field and made his way through to 9th position overall, and mostly 2nd place in the GTE class. So it's a very good recovery drive, but we also have to keep in mind that he still needs to pit, while all the drivers behind him, McFall, Peterson and Tempest, already made their mandatory pit stop. So this is also another situation we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, we will indeed, as you see, big traffic behind there, behind the 28 Ferrari of Hulse. We'll just have to keep an eye, but he's driving a flawless race so far. As you see, the 49 Dallara of Kevin Boland just coming up behind him. Will just come into shot now. There he is, opening up that big V8 in that LMP2 car, and whoosh, past he goes. And of course, Dallara very much a leader in carbon fiber construction and aerodynamics, and actually were the first company in Italy, even before Ferrari, to put in a moving floor in their wind tunnel in 1984. Even Ferrari didn't have a moving floor in the wind tunnel at that point.
Yeah, they've always been very, very a leading company in Italy in the automotive industry. And definitely they deserve all the recognition they have all over the world. And Dallara is for sure one of the companies, in my opinion, that will always shine also in 20, 30 years, because they always shown always a very good mindset, you know. compared to other companies which are always merging together, dismantling and changing things up now and then. That's not a very good business, you know. Tadara always kept their vision and mindset pretty clear, and that's why we are seeing the Lara excel in endurance races and also helping teams all over the world in different categories, from single seaters to IndyCar to IMSA, everywhere.
Yeah, of course, the Cadillac, one of my favorite racing cars in the world is the Cadillac DPI, which is the kind of equivalent of these LMP2 cars that we see in the World Endurance Championship. The difference is in IMSA, they run they run obviously different bodywork, different engines, but they run for outright victory in those races. And the Cadillac, which has won the Rolex 24 at Daytona 3 out of the last 4 years, is a Dallara chassis, very similar actually to this car here. As we see now, Jess Martin comes into pit lane, and also David Ward. So let's see then how this goes and how long they spend in pit lane.
Yeah, definitely another great battle. They were a bit far, but obviously pit road and the service might shuffle things up, as Carvalho also lost 2 positions and now is behind McFall and Peterson in the GTE field. See, Martin comes out in front of Ward, but they are still pretty close, so we might have a nice fight in these last 12 minutes of this event.
Yep, this is game on now. It looks like it's going to be a battle for P2 between Jess Martin and David Ward. Here's William Chadwick. He hasn't been into pit lane yet. Let's see if he chooses to do that and cover off his 2 competitors for the win this evening. He's coming down toward Arabella.
A good idea considering the traffic he has.
Yeah, big
even
traffic.
Though he's managing his way through, and indeed he pulls in.
Yep, you can hear him battering down the gearbox there into first gear, onto the limiter. A very slow drag down pit lane here. We haven't seen William Chadwick take any damage so far this race, and of course, even if he did, he would have his fast repair. So, and there should be, all being normal, he should be able to get back out there in the lead once more. But you never know in motor racing. But it's Jess Martin who holds second position right now. Quite a very interesting colour scheme on that car. Almost reminds me of the Kimoa Fernando Alonso colours.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We don't see this color combination a lot in racing, as we are now instead moving towards the GTE field with Bradley Hulse. He's leading by 14 seconds on McFall and navigating his way through the leaders in the GT3. So it's always a very hectic situation for the drivers. No matter where they are, as you can see from our live track map, you have all the front stretch empty, and all the drivers are packed up in 2/3 of the track.
Now, I have to say, Alessandro, I don't know about you, but I would definitely call myself a motor racing nerd, or a geek, whatever you want to call it, but I cannot tell the difference between the Ferrari 488 GT3 car and the Ferrari 488 GTE car. To look at, I know what the difference is between them, but I don't know when you're out on track how you could tell these 2 cars apart.
You can't tell, actually. Maybe if you are at a racetrack, I think the GTE car is at least used to be more louder than the GT3, but this car is very good for teams because you can easily swap the aero kit and convert your car from a GT to a GT3. So many teams when the 458, I think, was the previous car, And also the 4A8 came out. They went for this car, so they could also race both with ACO regulation and GT3 regulation.
And I believe that is what the WeatherTech team that are racing at Le Mans this year in the GTE category, they've brought over their car, which they race in GT3 rules in IMSA, I believe, which is very cool to see. As we see now, interesting, David Ward goes up the inside of Jess Martin, but I get the feeling from what we've seen so far, Jess Martin is not going to accept this at all.
Yeah, definitely. She's been faster. Martin obviously wants to keep her 38 car on second place, but Ward is definitely gonna be eager to defend this second place that for sure feels like has been, let's say, his race has been a bit destroyed by that mistake by Martin. So he wants to fight back and defend his second position, as Chadwick has a big lead on the two.
Yeah, you called it, Alessandro, when he got that little bit of a breakaway when he broke the toe for the first time. That was it. He just was able to clear away as Jess Martin just gets caught up, snagged by a little bit of traffic there. But wow, look at David Ward. You're right. He is really proving a point here, isn't he? He's really escaping now at the front, and Jess Martin will have to really push hard to try to keep up. But just look how much of a gap he's already pulled. But wow, that was, now that might not have looked much on screen, viewers, but that oversteer moment there, that was so close to, because this car, when it oversteers, you don't really get much chance to catch the slide before it snaps and throws you into the barrier.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like this car is one of the few cars you can actually recover a slide. Yeah, it happened to me 1 or 2 times at Parabolic, especially in the IMSA event where you have essentially 1 hour stints on the same tire set. And after 40 minutes, the car starts to be very, very treacherous. So you need to be very careful. But at the same time, if you are good enough, you can sort control the car and their sliding, but you don't want the car to slide Parabolica because you are going so fast, and even if you catch the slide, you are going to lose a lot of time.
And I think that what to take away there, viewers, is that Alessandro is a much better driver than me, and he can catch the slide, whereas I can't. That's your reactions are faster, Alessandro. It must be all that strong coffee you drink.
Definitely, I don't drink coffee at all.
No way.
Yeah, totally. I always import my tea from England.
Wow. I'm almost speechless. Almost.
You know, you are with 2 Italians in the booth. We have an option.
Oh, now.
He went for a ride.
More curbs. Ascari. A little bit of a twitch here. Sausage curb. Oh, like you say, these horrible sausage curbs. Big one there into the barrier. Yeah, I have to agree with you, Alessandro. These sausage curbs, these little sleeping policemen almost, they are the most stupid invention. Considering they're meant to make tracks safer, they do the exact opposite.
Yeah, but to be fair, talking about the track Monza, all the layout compared to the actual layout with these curbs, I think it's safer the old layout than today, because especially when you're driving open wheelers, if you hit the curb, I'm talking real life now, I think someone will be dead by 2-3 years, because if you hit it wrongly, you might hit somebody in the head. We have a halo and all the stuff we use as protection, as we see another car going wide there. But if you hit that curb and you have a car coming on your head, there's not much you can do, in my opinion. So this has to be changed.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they work at all. They're only problems really that can come from them. Anyway, we have 4 minutes left in this motor race right now, and William Chadwick is putting together an absolutely flawless performance. Had to battle very hard earlier on with David Ward, but once he was able to break away, well, he's just been imperious. And look at this, Bradley Hulse as well. He's now, interestingly, he has had his stop. That's the timing screen has updated now. Leading very strongly in GTE and 8th overall. Very impressive indeed. Back in GT3, well, it's Stephen Bird leading from his teammate Simmons by 2.4 seconds as it stands right now. So all looking about steady, but still plenty of racing to go. We'll just need to wait and see if William Chadwick can just manage his way through the last parts of traffic, and he'll have the race victory here at Monza.
Yeah, indeed. I think Bradley Hulse might have not stopped yet, in my opinion. He didn't, because it might happen that our beautiful SDK system got it wrong, but at the same time usually is pretty much spot on. So I don't know if maybe Bradley is playing safe and pitting on the last lap, doing a particular strategy we don't know of, or he doesn't know what the rule is for the mandatory pit stop. I don't know. We will see.
And that is an interesting, because of course if he if he does come to pit lane, then of course he will lose at least second position and maybe even third position as well to Peterson. So that's interesting that it's he has been in. My apologies, he has been in. He was one of the very first GTE cars to come in. From my recollection, I remember saying leader in GTE has come in, so I'm pretty sure he's taking his pit stop. It was his teammate. Okay. Well, this is going to be interesting. We'll just have to see what happens post-race. But it would appear, Alessandro, that maybe he doesn't know the rule about the pit stop.
I don't know. He might surprise us with a late pit stop. I don't know if the pit stop is. We have another car going wide there in the grass, in the gravel. It's been a nice sand trap, while we also see a Mercedes sliding next in the second chicane. So it's very treacherous place, and mostly with all the cars coming back onto the track, it has become like a desert.
It has. Look at this. With all of a sudden, Jess Martin is right on the back of David Ward here, and we've got GT3 traffic up ahead. Just less than a minute to go here. William Chadwick probably will have taken, so he's going to take the white flag now. So William Chadwick has taken the white flag, so this will be the last lap for the P2 runners when David Ward and Jess Martin come to the line. So this will be interesting.
Keep an eye on them because they are very, very close.
Will be. Yes, so down they go then. Jess Martin's in the draft. She has got a run here. She's in the top gear, right at the top of the limiter. You know she's going to try the late braking manoeuvre. Ward might just get past this Ferrari. Oh, little wiggle. That didn't quite shake up the right way for Jess Martin and did for David Ward.
Yeah, that was our GTE leader, so he didn't pit. I guess he will go to the end and give a nice job to do for our stewards post-race.
Yes, of course.
Mistake for JT.
Oh, dearie me, David Ward has made a big error into the second chicane, and Jess Martin, she does not need a second invitation, sticks the nose of her Dallara up the inside into the gravel. Oh, just about hangs onto it. Goodness me, she is incredibly exciting to watch, isn't she? So aggressive, and here she goes. She's got a run. She's got a big run here onto the grass, round the outside on the grass. Oh my word! Goes to the inside now, heading into Ascari, and well, here we go. Here's our race winner then. William Chadwick wins here in the Simrig round 2 here at Monza. But Jess Martin, look at that, weaving all over the back straight here, trying to break the toe from David Ward, and they come into Parabolica for the final time. Can Jess Martin hang on to second place? She gets back on the gas. Oh, David Ward has a big wiggle getting on the gas. It looks like Jess Martin is going to nip the second place at the line. She does. Brilliant drive from Jess Martin in the 38 machine. So here is, well, your GTE winner on the road. Bradley Hulser, the 28 car, but with no pit stop. We will need to see how that finishes. In GT3, Stephen Bird leading his teammate Chris Simmons to the line then to make it a Ferrari 1-2 here in the GT3 class after 45 minutes of frantic.
It's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Ferrari.
Wow, wow, there you go.
Yeah, Ferrari definitely dominant on this track.
Yeah, it's the GT3 Ferrari is a wonderful, wonderful car. Very, very easy to drive on the limit for long periods of time. And so let's get a replay of this move. Wow, that was... There was a little bit of contact. And yeah, this Jess Martin, she has absolutely no fear. Just goes round the outside. And actually, David Ward, he tried to defend his position maybe a little bit firmly. Well, I think he just got a bad exit out of the second Lesmo, it looked like, Alessandro.
Yeah, he struggled big time on exit all up long. He should have been more aggressive there. I know Ward didn't want to let her go because he's not really happy 100%. So he really wanted to defend his second position. He should have been more aggressive and shut the door earlier. He tried to give a nudge and then he showed the disappointment after the race finish. But I think this ain't over yet. We will have another race coming up in Daytona. I think these two will have still some affair.
I think so. I think you're absolutely right. That is one of these battles that will go on all season long. Absolutely no mistake about that. So we will have our race results for you, and here we go then. In LMP2, and your winner overall, William Chadwick for Vibe Esports in the number 22 machine. An incredible drive. Jess Martin for Mad Sim Racing gets that second position right at the last moment from David Ward in third. Freddie Hewitt was fourth with Kevin Boland in fifth. Henry Church was sixth. Liam Atkins 7th, and Jonathan Collins in 8th in class. For the GTE field, Bradley Hulse wins on the road, but with no pit stop, likely to get a post-race penalty. Scott McFall was second on the road, but likely will be promoted to the win. Ian Peterson third, with Nilton Carvalho in fourth. Matt Tempest was fifth, MJ Briggs sixth, Paul Phelan in seventh, Daniel Sutcliffe 8th, JB Haber was 9th, and finally Warren North in 10th. And in GT3, it was a fantastic drive from the Ferrari pair of Stephen Bird and Chris Simmons, with Magnus Johansson finishing out the podium in third. Martin Hobson was 4th, Dan Fisher 5th, Kieran Fitzgerald was 6th, David Bouquet 7th, Stephen Barker 8th, and finally Theodore Kaporniotis in 9th position in class. So it looks like we have our race winner, Will Chadwick, here to have a little chat with us here in the Apex Racing TV commentary box. So let's see if we can get him in and have a chat. Will Chadwick, congratulations on a fantastic drive today. Tell us about that race from your view.
Well, I didn't really have the qualifying that I hoped for, really. I could have gone quite a bit faster in qualifying, but I messed it up. My fault. I didn't get my second lap in. Took too much curb. But yeah, we started the race. Good start, really, from David. He really got away well. But, you know, what Monza's like, you just have loads of slipstream. So about breaking that, getting past. Really amazing battle for the first, I think, 5 or 6 laps. I'm not sure what it was, but then we just really worked on getting the gap and consolidating the win, really.
It was certainly fantastic to watch from our view. Now, how does this compare to winning the 12 Hours of Veterans in NHS charity race?
Oh well, it's not as challenging as that, is it? It's a brilliant thing to win, and I'm very happy for the team and for everyone that's helped me to this point, and also for Scott, who I think should have won his class, other than Bradley not pitting. which is a shame that he didn't realise we talked to him at the end. But yeah, it's a different thing really. But yeah, the 12 hours was amazing as well, and thank you to Porsche Club GB for giving me that opportunity as well.
Certainly excited to watch at the time. And how are you finding this? Of course, this Dallara P2 car is brand new to everyone. Everyone's on the same playing field with it being introduced just a week ago. How are you finding the car? How you compare it to the old P2 car, and how does it rank amongst the cars you've driven here in iRacing?
It's a great car to have in iRacing, and I'm sure a lot of people have been waiting for it for a very long time, seeing as the old P2 was a bit outdated by the time it was leaving us last season. It's very hard over the curbs. It's a lovely car to drive. It's in a lot of ways it's a lot better than the LMP1 cars, as you don't have the ERS. I'm not sure what I think energy recovery system, whatever it is, to deploy. So it's a bit less tactical, but it makes you really like. Appreciate the driving more, and it's a very, very nice car to drive. It's a different challenge, and I don't think I'm particularly fast in it compared to some of the top guys, other like I am in the GT4 and GT3, but I really do enjoy the challenge of it, and it is a wonderful car to drive.
Exciting watching you battling with David and Jess in it today. Before we let you go, William, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to here on Apex Racing TV?
Well, thanks to Simrix for us sponsoring the team, because they're our Vibe Esports sponsor, and also putting on this fantastic event. Thank you to anyone that helped me. Thank you to my teammate Scott for always pushing me along, who I'm sure you'll have a chat to soon. Yeah, it's been great. Thank you guys.
Thanks for coming to join us. Go and enjoy the win, Will.
Thank you very much, Peter.
So that was our winner overall, William Chadwick. We're now going to hear from his teammate who finished very highly up and likely to be promoted to the race win in GTE. Scott McFall is with Alessandro Dalladoni.
Yeah, indeed. Scott, how are you doing? Good job for your race. You aren't the first crossing the line, but I suppose after the stewards will declare you the winner, I guess.
Yeah, that was a patched up mistake, I guess, eh? No,
Yeah,
good
that.
race.
Go on, please. Sorry.
No, it was a good race. I enjoyed it. I expected a wee bit of the usual carnage at turn 1 being Monza, but everybody seemed to make it through as far as I could see fairly well, and it led on to a good race.
Yeah, we saw the GTE cars behaving quite good. Nothing major happened. Obviously, traffic played a good part in this event, and mostly also the fact that Bradley didn't know about the mandatory pit stop definitely shaked up our race, no?
Yeah. We were in a separate chat with Sal, and a couple of guys were saying that he's going to pit, and I just kept thinking myself, just keep pushing the time, see if we can try and catch him.
I guess also next week we are going. Next time we're going to Daytona. It's gonna be a similar race where strategy and traffic is gonna be probably the key of the race, no?
I would say so. Try and let most of the LMPs by in the straights if we can get that bit of luck. But if the catch is in field, it'll cost us a fair bit of time for the race, I reckon, anyway.
Yeah, it was definitely a very interesting race. Good job, Scott. Anybody you would like to thank before we let you go?
I'd like to say thanks to the fellow team members from Vibe Esports and the guys at SimFX Racing. Do a good job behind the scenes keeping everything together. And of course to the rest of the podium winners from tonight's race. It was a good night overall.
Thank you very much, Scott. I hope to see you soon here in our booth after the next event.
Thanks very much, and thanks for hosting as well. It's a great stream
Thanks,
that you
Scott.
guys put on. So yeah, I look forward to it next week.
Yeah, sure we did. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And Peter, now we have also our GT3 winner. I think he's right alongside you.
He is, and I tell you what, Alessandro, that was great to hear a good broad Scottish accent there from Mr. McFall, which was nice. But Stephen, our winner in GT3, Stephen, how was that race for you at the wheel of your Ferrari 488?
Yeah, really enjoyable, to be honest. quite a close race with my teammate Chris Simmons. He was close behind all the way. Bit interesting with a couple of the GTEs seem to be on similar pace, so that made it hard work sometimes. But yeah, really enjoyable.
Of course, at the beginning of the race, there was obviously the usual calamities, and of course here at Monza, it's so tricky to manage sometimes overtaking and such. How did you find it? How did you find this layout here at Monza?
Yeah, well, again, at the start, we tried to leave a bit of a gap with the GTEs, just so, because there's always a bit of trouble in the first chicane. So, yeah, just tried to leave a bit of a gap. And then really, yeah, avoid a bit of carnage coming through. Like you say, the layout, because of the hard braking zones, can cause a bit of trouble. But yeah, just keep everything in a straight line, and it went quite well, I thought.
And they did, yeah, absolutely. And now, I hate to always ask the question, but was there any formation flying going on, or were you guys allowed to battle it out to see who was going to be the top dog in the team?
We basically just said at the start, keep it straightforward at the start, get a few laps under our belt, and then if we build a bit of a gap, then we can go for it. So that's how it went down. But really, I think the traffic came a bit more into play, and that's what separated us. So you probably didn't get as much of a battle as there could have been. But yeah, I think me and Chris would have had a good battle. But the thing is, with a track, the slipstream's that powerful. When you're in the fixed setup GT3s, if you're similar pace, there's just no way to really pull away unless someone makes a mistake.
Absolutely. So there's no need for any multi-21 or any nonsense.
No, not in our team, not in TCE. No, we keep everything fair and race hard.
Absolutely, I'm glad to hear it. Now, I'm sure in the team and yourself, you've got lots of people you want to thank. Now's the chance to tell all our viewers here on Apex Racing TV all about it.
Well, yeah, again, I'll say thanks to Stevie Lowe. He puts the paint jobs together for us and runs the team, makes the cars look so nice out there. So yeah, and yeah, Simo's my partner in VRS Endurance, so we always have a good battle in that and a good race. So yeah, just big thanks to everyone in the team.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for coming to join us, and go and enjoy that win with your teammates.
Will do. Thanks, guys. Nice one. Great commentary.
So that was Stephen Bird, our winner in GT3 after a wonderful drive. Alessandro, your thoughts on today's race?
Definitely very eventful. We had a very interesting race. It just flight past so fast. 45 minutes seemed like 10. It was always very hectic. We had a lot of action in all classes. Some incidents, but being such a close field, especially in the P2s, was inevitable. I expect next week to be also another great show. We are going to the sunny beach in Florida, in Daytona. So another great draft fest where traffic and speed are gonna be key.
Oh, Daytona, one of my favourite venues anywhere in the world. A wonderful, wonderful place. Now, before we go, of course, we've got the Le Mans 24 Hours, the greatest race in the world, happening tomorrow, starting tomorrow afternoon. Obviously, in LMP1, it's maybe a little bit predictable, Alessandro. But in the GT classes, who are you predicting for the win in the race tomorrow?
Well, to be fair, Peter, I haven't really watched much, so I have literally no idea who is leading, who is complaining about BOP, or moaning about track limits. But I'd go with the Corvette if they are racing.
No,
they are not.
Well, I would have gone with Corvette as well.
Because I always cheer for the Corvette because I don't like seeing a Ferrari win. I don't really like Porsches too much. And Aston Martin, it's very good, but come on. The vet has to win Le Mans sometimes. And I always cheer for them. But I definitely think it's going to be a great show, especially in LMP2 and the GT. P1, we can already call the race call a wrap, because obviously you know that Le Mans is going to be a Toyota affair, considering the hyper hybrid system they have compared to the Rebellion.
Yeah, I think so. Especially there's going to be quite a lot of rain, I believe. So with the obviously the Toyota has 4-wheel drive when it's producing all of the power. So it's going to be difficult for the Rebellions, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. Well,
I've seen plenty of wrecks in practice, so
there have been exactly, and with the rain, even more can happen as well, and over 24 hours. So that's about all we have time for tonight on Apex Racing TV for this broadcast of SimRigs Live here at the beautiful Monza circuit here just outside Milan. Thanks so much to Alessandro Daldoni making his very long-awaited return to the Apex Racing TV commentary box, and also Marco Barbanera in Rome making all of these wonderful images and graphics for the production as well. You can check out our website, apexracingtv.com, for more information, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and you'll never miss a broadcast. And of course, tomorrow morning we have our Bathurst 250, so tune into that with your breakfast tomorrow morning. It'll be I think it's myself and Marco Barbanera, I think, on commentary in the morning. So looking forward to that. But without further ado, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Apex Racing TV.